I'm today having a Zoom meeting with Peter Taylor. Peter Taylor is our first guest on the Malaysia Wheel. He started off from Johor Bahru on 1st of October, 4th of October, as a first guest, and from there he moved to Kuala Lumpur. And when he was in Kuala Lumpur in a second week, he had visited me. We had a nice lunch together. And from here, he went to Penang for a week. And from Penang, he is now in Langkawi. And this Friday, Saturday, he will be ending his wheel travel in Malaysia. And he's heading back to Singapore first, and from Singapore back to Cebu in Philippines, where he lives now. He is originally from New York, and let's go talk to him and see what tips he has to give from his experience of this Malaysia wheel. Let's go into the video. So, Peter, nice meeting you again.
Good to see you again, Iggy.
Yeah, I think we met a few weeks ago, about 3 weeks ago exactly.
Yes, we met in Kuala Lumpur, where you live.
Yeah, and just before you went to Johor Bahru to start your wheel.
Yes, exactly right. And now I'm finishing up my Malaysia tour with a stay in Langkawi.
Langkawi. Okay, let's come back to this. Can you introduce yourself, your background, where are you from, and all those things?
Sure, my name is Peter, and I'm an American, recently retired just a few years ago, and I decided to relocate to the Philippines. I'm currently living in Cebu City, the second largest city in the Philippines.
Hmm.
This is my first trip to Malaysia, and I was delighted to have the opportunity to see four significant cities in the same country on one trip. That's what got me interested in the Malaysia wheel of travel.
Okay. And which city are you from the US?
I spent most of my working career in New York City.
Okay.
After I retired, I briefly spent a couple of years in Florida. But I became bored and I had an itch to travel, an urge to travel the world. And so that's why I relocated to the Philippines. I have a special fondness in my heart for Southeast Asia. Yes, I worked for a number of companies,
Yeah.
most of them headquartered in New York City. Yeah.
Okay. So you were working in New York City for a long time.
Yeah, living and working in New York City for over 25 years.
Wow. And how does Southeast Asia compare to your life in New York City?
Well, it's definitely more interesting in terms of the culture, the food choices. Uh, the weather is much to my liking. It's very warm here, and I also found it to be a much more affordable lifestyle. Now that I'm living on a fixed income, Southeast Asia is more affordable than the U.S.
Okay, that fits me too. More affordable on our social security income.
Yeah,
Now,
I'll put it this way: if I were to stay in the United States, I could live comfortably, but I would not have sufficient funds left over to travel the way I want to travel without burning through my retirement savings. And so that's why I made the decision to relocate. Now I can live comfortably and travel as much as I like without any financial pressure.
okay. So now you are in Malaysia. Is this your first visit to Malaysia?
Yes, first time in this country.
And you came through Singapore and started off your wheel in Johor Bahru. Uh,
Yes, I was able to obtain a direct flight from Cebu City into Singapore, and it seemed like a logical way to begin the tour in Johor Bahru.
no. And now that you've seen the four cities in our wheel, Johor Bahru, Kuala Lumpur, Penang, and Langkawi, how would you rank them to your liking? Which would you would rank best for you?
Well, I think it depends on what you're looking for. I think in terms of all of the comforts and amenities of any sophisticated city in the West, Kuala Lumpur definitely meets the bill.
Okay.
I think any Western capital that I visited anywhere in the world uh, is is more modern or more comfortable than Kuala Lumpur. I'm sure there is more comfort to be had in some cities, but Kuala Lumpur is a very comfortable city to live in. And if
Uh,
that's what you want, if you're looking for those amenities, Kuala Lumpur certainly has all of those to offer.
mhm.
But if you're searching for natural beauty, I think Langkawi would be a good choice. Maybe a good way to describe this would be to say Langkawi is to Malaysia what Palawan is to the Philippines.
Okay. Okay. Are you a
Lots of
water
mountains, lots of natural beauty.
are you a water person?
Oh, yes. One of my passions is scuba diving. That's one of the reasons why I relocated to Southeast Asia. There's a lot of good diving here.
Mhm. And what is the best part of Kuala Lumpur that you liked of the food and
Uh,
infrastructure?
well, we visited many of the sites that are notable, like Batu Caves for the Hindu temples, and also Putrajaya, the uh, the capital city complex outside of Kuala Lumpur. That has one of the most beautiful mosques I've ever seen, the Putra Mosque. Uh, Kuala Lumpur, the Petronas Towers, and that large mall with the park area in the
Yeah, the
center of the
KLCC.
city, yeah, is quite beautiful. Very nice.
And what other this visit to Malaysia, is it part of tourism travel, or are you trying to see if any other place is suitable to you to retire?
Well, I do have a resident visa for the Philippines, but one of the main motivations for choosing the Philippines was that English is widely spoken around the entire country. What I've learned from this trip is that there is at least one other Southeast Asian nation where English is widely spoken, and that is Malaysia. I
Right.
think if I had visited Malaysia earlier in my relocation search, I might well have selected Malaysia as my retirement destination.
So right now you would place Philippines and Malaysia equally for a US expat to retire in.
Yeah, I think both of them are excellent choices for an English speaking expat that perhaps doesn't feel capable of mastering another language. And some of the Southeast Asian languages like Thai and Vietnamese are rather difficult to learn.
Okay. And you left US because you said uh, you could more comfortably retire in Southeast Asia. And
Yeah, scuba diving, affordable living. Also, I was very fascinated with Asian culture, customs, religious beliefs, history, food, all of those things. Being from the United States, I'm very familiar with European culture, with Western culture, but I was much less familiar with Asian culture, hence my fascination with Southeast Asian.
was there anything in the US, other than the cost of living part of it, that made you look towards the East?
Perhaps it's because I spent most of my life in the US, but I found that the nation presents a monotonous sameness everywhere you go. There isn't much variety.
Okay. Every city is the same with a Walmart
Yeah.
and this and that.
Yeah. I'll find the same chain restaurants. I'll find the same chain supermarkets. I'll find, the same kinds of shopping malls. Pretty much find the same cultural experience uniformly across all of the United States. And to me, that's just not very interesting. That's not a
Uh,
criticism. I'm just looking for variety at this point in my
right,
life.
right. Yeah, it's more homogeneous. US doesn't matter. Sometimes we forget where we are. In
Yeah.
fact, I used to go to various cities giving talks on the retirement communities I built. And I used to one day be in Las Vegas, the next day in Dallas. And when I am talking to Dallas in front of the crowd, I'll tell them it's so nice to be in Las Vegas, and everybody would laugh.
Well, after you've lived in the Southeast Asia for a while, I'm sure you'll agree that as soon as the bill comes, the check comes, you know you're in the United States.
Right. Now, must have been between Philippines and Malaysia so far. What other countries are you planning to go next? Uh,
Well, I visited Indonesia. I visited Vietnam. I would like to spend some time in Thailand.
okay, okay. And of the foods you have tasted between Philippines and in Malaysia, of course, you got get different kinds of food. What is your best food you seem to like?
Well, what I like about Malaysian food is that it's a fusion of many different cultures, and they've brought their culinary tastes with them. They've got lots of spices. So you'll find many flavor choices in the Malaysian cuisine. I think the same is probably true of some other Southeast Asian nations.
Okay. And are there you have any hobbies that you feel you said you are into scuba diving. Other than that, is there anything else you feel you are missing out not being in the US?
Well, I'm probably missing out on some of the divisiveness and political turmoil that's going on in that country right now.
Yeah. Okay. And
And that's something I'm probably happy that I'm missing out on.
yeah, me too. Me too, I know a lot of people. I saw some statistics, I'm not sure. 5 million people have left the US to become expats elsewhere. I mean,
Yeah,
the last few years.
I guess we're
Now,
part of that statistic.
yes, you and I are. Now, let's come to the wheel travel, which you are going through now. You are in the fourth week, the fourth city of Langkawi. Um, what is it that you think we could do a little different? It could be criticism telling me what I should do so that we could better our facilities or whatever in terms of the people who are coming behind you, give them some tips. For example, you already told me that coming from Singapore, with the luggage, you had a very hard time in the immigration because you have to walk a lot doing your Singapore immigration and then your Malaysian immigration. So, like that, what are
Yeah.
the tips would you give us and the people after you?
I think if I had to do it over again, I would have tried to find a direct flight from Manila to Kuala Lumpur. Then I would have only had to go through one immigration,
Yeah,
Malaysia immigration.
in the airport without
Yeah.
luggage,
When
without
you fly into Singapore, even though you're not staying in the country for very long, you still need to retrieve your luggage. So this requires you to go through customs. So I had to go through Singapore immigration first, and then in the space of less than 2 hours, I had to go through Malaysian immigration when I crossed over into Johor Bahru.
you had to do one Singapore immigration to get out of Singapore, and then
Yeah,
Malaysia you have to enter. Yeah, literally, you
yeah,
had three immigrations in 2 hours.
yeah, yeah. So I think the best bet for a traveler coming to Malaysia is come straight to Kuala Lumpur.
Oh, oh.
You'll get the most direct flights into Kuala Lumpur, that being the largest city in Malaysia.
Yes, and its very price is very reasonable. Kuala Lumpur being a hub for Air Asia,
Yes.
so. Uh, how often do you go back to the US if you do?
Well, I try to visit on average about once per year. Next year, I'm attending two weddings, one in January, another in October. So I'll actually be making the trip back to the USA twice during 2026.
Oh,
But on
okay.
average, I try to go back approximately once a year or so.
Okay. Do you have any experience with medical? Because Malaysia is touted as one of the popular medical tourism location destination. Do you have any
Yes,
experience?
I've heard very good things about the medical care, the medical infrastructure in Malaysia. And also, Thailand has a good reputation for medical care. Fortunately, I have not had to experience any type of emergency room or hospital care on my travels thus far.
Okay. And now, during your travels, do you typically cook your own food or do you eat out most of the time?
I generally eat 2 meals a day. I'll most always have my breakfast late morning in my room wherever I'm staying. I can usually pick up some things at the nearby grocery store or supermarket to put in the fridge and have ready for breakfast. I generally eat my dinner early in the evening outside the place I'm staying. So 1 meal indoors where I'm staying, 1 meal at a restaurant outdoors away from my lodging.
Okay. Is there any food that you would have liked to, buy from the grocery store and made your own meal? Did you miss anything? Was anything not available that you were looking for? Any
No,
food?
all the things I would typically have for my breakfast are available in most supermarkets here in Malaysia.
Yeah. And you already said it's about a quarter of what it would cost in the US for similar
Yeah, anywhere from 75% less to half as much as I would
half
pay
as
back
much.
in the United States.
Right. Langkawi, where you are, is a duty-free shop, and
Yeah,
it's supposed to be very cheap. I don't drink myself, so I don't know, but I've heard you can get a bottle of scotch for $10, no, 10
I
euro.
wouldn't doubt it.
Yes, yes. Because it's a very popular place for Malaysians to go to Langkawi within their own country and come back with a lot of duty-free alcohol, chocolates, a lot of it. And yeah. So, anything else you would like to give suggestions for our wheel for me
Yeah,
to?
I'd like to begin with a positive, if I may. Uh, I firmly believe that it would be ill-advised for any retiree who's considering relocation to select a destination without having thoroughly explored it with their feet on the ground. Now, the challenge there is that that can be time consuming and costly. And if you're considering 3 or maybe 4 different countries as potential retirement destinations, it would be a real challenge requiring multiple trips to visit 3 or 4 different countries, many different cities or locations inside each of those 3 or 4 different countries. That could take a half a dozen visits minimum. So to me, the wheel has great appeal as a cost efficient and a time efficient way to explore a country thoroughly in a single trip. So, for instance, if I wanted to know more about Western or Peninsular Malaysia, the Malaysia wheel that you've put together shows me 4 principal retirement destinations within that one single geography, and I can see all of them in the span of about 4 weeks' time.
Yes.
And I don't have to worry about lining up Airbnbs or hotel accommodations. I don't have to worry much about transportation. You've answered most of my questions about shopping and food choices and things like that. So I think in keeping with that philosophy of exploring the locations in person with feet on the ground, the Malaysia wheel greatly simplified my examination of Malaysia. I got to see 4 cities in 4 weeks.
And do you think 1 week was enough in each city?
I would think maybe if there was some way to provide the visitor with some flexibility, I would have probably spent a little bit more time in KL and perhaps a little bit less time in Johor Bahru. But I understand the concept of the wheel. If many people are using the wheel and they're following one another in a certain order,
Mhm.
it's really impossible to accommodate those kinds of requests.
Actually, on that, I don't know, I might have discussed this with you. Uh, I am working on expanding this concept of wheel exactly to accommodate people like what you mentioned, who like to stay flexible number amount of time in each city. So, but that will come at in a slightly different methodology in the sense I will have people who have homes, either the whole condos for rental or share a room. I'm targeting people sharing the room for about just about $100 a week. So for $400, you could stay with somebody and you have a bedroom, bath attached. You can use a common kitchen between them and you. So I'm trying to put together something, but I'll be announcing it pretty soon. So that because in every city I might have 10 to 20 hosts. So you can choose, okay, I'll go to JB for a week, I'll come to KL for 2 or 3 weeks, and then Penang maybe for whatever. So it will not be fixed homes. Right now, the problem I have is I have only one condo in each city. So I have to put together everybody a moving wheel. So somebody who wants to stay a couple of weeks in KL, like you said, I cannot because the next person is waiting in line to come to KL. So, but this new thing I'm working on will give that flexibility. And if you want to skip a particular city, like you said, JB, you don't have to do all four. You can do these three and any other city where people are offering their homes. So that would be
Well,
something that yeah, that's a new concept, not a new concept, an extension of this slow travel. Having done this, I was able to think through that. So I'm,
I want to be clear. I'm glad that I did visit Johor Bahru because it is a significant city in Malaysia. Its proximity to Singapore would make it ideal for many retirees considering Malaysia as a destination. So I'm glad that I visited Johor Bahru. I just meant that perhaps I could have spent a few days, 3 or 4 days there to pick up a few extra days in Kuala Lumpur.
okay.
But
Okay.
I
Yeah.
definitely think you should leave it on the itinerary because it is a significant city and a good choice for many retirees.
Yeah, the one thing I'm working on right now, it'll open up the entire Southeast Asia. It will be Malaysia, Thailand, Vietnam, Cambodia, Philippines, Indonesia. I'm going to launch it in one sweep because I'll be advertising in every country for people to put their homes here, and then the travelers would come in and select, okay, this city and this city, and in each city I'll give them the choices available of where they could stay however long they want to stay in each city. So it'll be a very flexible wheel, so that, but anyway, it's still under development. It'll take a few more weeks for it to become live. So we were going through
Sounds
the
good.
pros and cons of the wheel, and you started off with the pros that it is much easier for you to see all the four cities. So let's go on that list, pros and cons.
Yeah, I think that the accommodations you've lined up meet a wide variety of group travel needs. Most of the uh, condominiums that you've lined up feature at least 2 bedrooms and 2 bathrooms. So this is good for two couples traveling together or perhaps a family traveling together. Now, I typically am a single traveler, so I'm usually traveling alone or with a companion. So I probably had more space than I needed, but the price I was paying was comparable to what I would have paid for a studio or a 1 bedroom if I had tried to choose an Airbnb listing on my own.
Yes. Okay.
Yeah. So I think your choice of 2 bedroom, 2 bath setup makes a lot of sense for a wide variety of travelers.
Yeah, when I
Uh,
selected the places, I had to weigh in the location was important to me, and the quality of the condo was important. So I went and stayed in each of those places myself to evaluate, is this something of my US counterparts would appreciate staying in this kind of places. In
One thing I will say about the properties is that everyone featured um, conveniences that I don't often find in some Airbnbs. For instance, every property had a washing machine, so I can do laundry while I'm traveling. Every property had an ironing board and an iron. Every property featured a water filtration system, so I don't need to be concerned about the quality of the tap water I'm drinking. Every unit had a working stove, a working refrigerator. Uh, every unit had air conditioning. Every unit was featured clean linens, spare linens. So if I had to change the bed, there were spare linens available. There was an ambassador in each of the cities I visited who was on standby to answer questions or help me if the need arose.
Yep.
They were rather unobtrusive. If I didn't have any needs, I didn't really hear much from them. They left me to myself,
Right.
which was very much appreciated.
Yes. Yes.
So I mean, in terms of making things easy for the traveler, I think you thought ahead and made arrangements that certainly made the trip easier and more comfortable.
Yeah,
So I appreciate that.
that ambassador was a very important part of my arrangements
Yeah.
because I am not there myself. See, most of the people who run Airbnbs are in that city themselves. So
Mhm.
all they had to do is arrange the housekeeper. In my case, I had to arrange the ambassador and through the ambassador, a housekeeper. So I actually have two people in each city. And me going and staying there for a week to check out each place along with ambassador and everything helped to put this together. So let's
Yeah.
go down any what are the pros and cons?
Well, I thought that all the lodgings, all the places we stayed were very good in their category. If I wanted to use the Michelin star rating system,
Mhm.
many people are familiar with that. Michelin offers 3 stars. And I would say that every location I stayed in was at least a 1 star or a 2 star rating, meaning they were either very good in their category or they were excellent in their category.
Okay.
Now, I'm a little bit of a picky traveler, and I've been fortunate to be able to stay in some very nice places. And I'm going to be moving on after the Malaysia wheel to Singapore, where I'll be staying in a 4 star hotel. So that may get a Michelin 3 star rating from me.
The advantage of our wheel people staying in Johor Bahru is they can go to Singapore as a day trip, spend the daytime, see Singapore, and by night time come back to JB to the condo. So they could
Yes.
have the cake and eat it too. Eat it too.
Yeah, that's true. That's
Yeah,
true.
right. What about anything? Any cons you would say? Any the pros and cons? Anything?
No, everything seemed to work well. This might have begun as a con, but it turned into a pro. In Johor Bahru, we found that the microwave stopped working at some point,
Mhm.
and your ambassador, Sharil Ejum,
Yeah,
was very prompt in replacing it with a new microwave.
yeah. Within a couple of
So that
hours,
was
I
a
think.
potential negative that turned into a positive. Sharil really came through for us.
Good, good, good. I'm glad. I'm glad you enjoyed your wheel. Um, so, which country you think we should do the extend this wheel to next?
Well, I mentioned to you I want to visit Thailand, so I
So
think the Thailand wheel would be a good choice.
yeah, and of course, people could uh, uh, choose to choose to do it all in one shot or do it later. So,
Well, I've actually given Thailand some thought, if you're open to suggestion.
mhm.
Uh, 4 locations in Thailand that I think are on my radar screen are, of course, Bangkok, because that's an international city.
Yes.
I've heard wonderful things about Chiang Mai in the Northern Highlands.
Mm-hmm.
There's another city that's known for its nightlife, Pattaya or Pattaya,
Pattaya.
but just over the hill from Pattaya is a nice beach community called Jomtien Beach.
Jomtien.
So
Yes.
those two could be considered one destination in Thailand.
Okay.
And then finally, Phuket is world famous as a beach
Beach
resort
destination.
in Thailand. Yeah.
Yes. Yes.
So there's 4 good choices for Thailand right there. Of
Mhm.
course, you may have your own ideas about that.
Okay. So thank you very much, Peter. It was really wonderful speaking with you, and hope we will meet sometime soon, maybe in the next wheel.
I want to say thank you for taking the time, putting in all the hard work
Thank
putting together the wheel. And I hope that travelers who follow me will also enjoy the fruits of your labor.
Thank you very much.
Okay, bye-bye.
Bye.